let's get started. The first thing you guys see is that we have our pears already cut up. Mama and Suzette cut those up for me. Now, this is what we put in the water. You use like 3 tablespoons per half gallon of water. And what this does is, it's gonna keep your fruit from browning. You see how pretty that is, and the color didn't change? So you wanna definitely get you some of this. Also, I would suggest going ahead and washing up your jars, getting them sterilized. So if you buy them from the store, you still need to wash them. We wash them and we sterilize them. We'll get these hot, but let me show you the next step. I want to show you guys the canning book that I'll be using. Mama and I try to operate under the USDA guidelines. Out there on the web, you're gonna find a lot of what they call rebel canners. We don't recommend that because we like to use true and tested recipes. So to begin with, we're gonna go ahead and get our syrup ready because we want sort of heavy, but not very heavy, which is recommended for pears. It calls for 2 3/4 cups of sugar per 1 quart of liquid, and that's gonna yield 5 1/3 cup of syrup. This is what it looks like. 1 cup of water and 2 3/4 cups of sugar. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I'm gonna double this recipe because we have like 2 gallons of pears. So that's a lot of pears. So this is not a lot of sugar at all. And you can use artificial sweetener if you choose. So let's go ahead and start making up our syrup. Again, I'm doubling the recipe. I'm putting in the 2 quarts of water, and then I'm gonna double the sugar recipe. Let's get those in. And even though I don't have this on yet, I'm still gonna go ahead and give this a stir just to get it moving in the water. I don't have it turned on yet because when you start cooking with something sweet, you're gonna need to be completely focused on it. So we're not ready to turn this on just yet. I am using a wooden spoon. Next, I'm gonna be adding some lemon juice. I'm gonna be adding 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. That's gonna balance out that sugar. This is what the lemon juice is gonna look like. Guys, now listen at this part. You can use any spice that you want. I'm gonna use this pumpkin pie spice. And let me tell you why. If you look at the ingredients, it says cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, and cloves. Now, if you don't like ginger, you don't like cloves or whatever, then what I would do is I would get the cinnamon, the nutmeg, the allspice, and then mix that in there. We like all of these seasonings. Instead of doing them one by one, I'm just gonna use this right here. Just using 1 rounded tablespoon. I'm gonna get that in there. And again, the sugar's on the bottom. It's not turned on yet. I'm gonna do that in just a minute. Let me show you why. So I'm gonna go ahead now. I'm gonna drain this liquid off. Remember, this is the liquid that we had the preserve in it. So I don't wanna use that water. You don't have to rinse it, but I'm gonna just pour this water off. I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, so this is what the pears look like now that I've drained that other water off of them. I'm getting my mixture hot, and I'm just gonna stir this till all the sugar melts. And then I'm gonna just pour it on top of the pears, and I'm just gonna warm those pears up for about 5 minutes. I just need to get them hot. I'm not trying to cook them. I'm just trying to get them hot. Okay, now that I've been stirring this and the sugar's all melted in, I'm gonna just take it and pour it on top of the pears. I'll be right back because I can't hold the camera and do that. Hold on one moment. So you can tell that I put the syrup in here, and I'm gonna stir these to make sure they don't stick because I want them to get really hot. I've also put my jars on my eye. I've got them on low because what I wanna do is you always wanna match temperatures. If you're working with cold pears, you need cold jars. Hot pears, hot jars. And this is so that you don't stress out the jars, because if you do that, they can break, they can burst. So we always want to match temperatures. So I'll be back in just a second. One more thing I forgot to tell you guys, I do add like 2 tablespoons vanilla flavoring in mine. Guys, so I've turned my pears off because you can tell they're hot. I'm not trying to cook them because I want them to maintain as much of their original structure as possible. And then all I'm gonna do now is put them in my jars. So I sort of overfill that one. I'm just gonna move to the next one. And then I'm just gonna fill my jars up. I'll be back in just a minute. Guys, this is what they look like now that we've got the jars packed. Now we need to leave a 1/2 inch headspace. This is the syrup that's left. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna, on all these jars, we're gonna fill it up with the syrup. We're gonna come back and we're gonna make sure that we leave a 1/2 inch headspace on each one of these jars. So I'll be back in just a moment. Now we're gonna debubble. We're gonna use this right here. And all that means is that you're gonna just press down, making sure you're getting all the bubbles out. As you do that, did you see how the level of the liquid and the fruit went down? So it's important to get like all the bubbles out to debubble it. Also, because we want to come back and we want to make sure that we fill it up to a 1/2 inch from the top. So I'll be back after I debubble all of these. I've just finished debubbling it. So let me show you guys something on this same instrument. Hold on just a second. So can you guys see those measurements where it says 1 inch, 3/4, 1/2 inch? So this tool right here is great to have because remember, we needed to make sure that we leave a 1/2 inch headspace. So if I go through like this, it'll let me know that, say, I'm right on it. If I go to some of the other ones, I might have to add up some liquid. So that looks like what I'm gonna have to do. I'll be back once I do my measurements. Okay, so the very next step is I'm gonna use some white distilled vinegar. I've poured some off in here. And all we're gonna do is just get a little bit on our cloth or paper towel or whatever. We're gonna go around these rims because we wanna make sure that we get everything off so that you can get a good seal on these jars. So you definitely wanna do this. Do it after debubbling and after your measurements because you don't want to drip anything on these rims. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this and I'll be back with the next step. And this little gadget right here, guys, it helps you to pick up your rims and be able to put them on without getting your fingers burned. Trust me, growing up, we did not have this. I wish we did. It's worth the investment to get one of these little gadgets. And then once we go through, we put all the lids on, we'll put the rims on. I'll be back. Guys, and this last little tip is that when you put these bands on, you want to put them just fingertip tight, which means don't put a lot of force in them. You want to just do them fingertip tight so that they can be able to release whatever they need to. And I want to show you my hot water bath. I'm going to take this lid off and you can tell that the water has started to get warm because these jars are still warm. You want to match the temperature. So I'm going to put the jars in here. They need to be submerged. And then I'll be back to tell you how long you're going to let this go. So we've got them in there, but we're not going to start the timer until the water starts rolling. I'll be back and show you guys what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and add my lid. If you look, you can tell that the water is rolling. This is what we call a rolling boil. We're going to set a timer for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. There you go. The timers just went off. The timer just went off. I'm going to just turn it off. I'll remove the lid away from my face and I'm just going to let it cool down. Guys, this is the part where I always use my protective eyeglasses. You don't have to. Probably most cooks don't, but I do when I'm dealing with anything that's hot. So let's take them out. All you're going to do is just reach in and grab them and pull them straight up just like that. So this is how they turned out. We ended up with 17 pints. I think they did pretty good. Now, once you take them out, do not take the rings off until the next day because you want to make sure that they seal. You may or may not hear them pop. If you do hear them pop, it's just them sealing. So sometimes they pop, sometimes they don't. So that is how we can our pears. If you guys have any questions, just drop them in the comments and we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for subscribing to us. Love you guys. Bye-bye.